that belongs on the big stage.
He's going to bring the box office eventually when he figures out what it takes to be fast in MotoGP. He is a top talent already, not even 20 years of age. He's a double Grand Prix World Champion this year, being crowned the youngest ever Moto2 World Champion, taking that accolade away from none other than Marc Marquez. Proud moment, of course, for everybody connected to Pedro Acosta when you make your MotoGP debut. Already looks like he's been on that bike for a good 6 months or so, doesn't it? This is just his third lap of what promises to be a glittering career in the MotoGP World Championship. What a coup it is as well for Hervé Poncheral's Gas team. Of course, they are used to bringing rookies through into MotoGP. They've been doing it for several years. You go all the way back to the Cal Crutchlow's, Ben Spees, Olivier Jacques, Shimmy Nakano's, even from way back. This is familiar territory for the hugely experienced French team. They will know better than anybody how you need to nurture and mould a rookie talent. And of course, they'll be doing it as well with plenty of interest from the factory KTM garage. The Piera Mobility Group have invested so much already into Pedro Acosta and Pit Byra, Stefan Piera. They will be keeping a very close eye, a microscopic eye on the progress of Pedro Acosta, who you do feel very quickly will be destined for Red Bull KTM at some point in the very near future.
He's going to be putting the pressure, isn't he, on Jack Miller and Brad Binder in the upcoming 2024 season. Of course, his teammate Augusto Fernandez, who was our sole rookie in 2023. And you've got to feel that Pedro Acosta will be looking at what Augusto Fernandez did this season and expecting to be at least as good as that this season. Augusto Fernandez, in his rookie season, of course, took a career best 4th place at the French Grand Prix at Le Mans as well. Really good season, actually, for Augusto Fernandez. 71 World Championship points he took over the course of the season and scored points in every round up until the San Marino Grand Prix at Misano. Found qualifying in particular, the time attack pace, the toughest thing that he had to get to grips on. We'll see if Pedro Acosta finds these same problems. So this is the end of Pedro Acosta's 4th lap of the day. His 3rd time lap on a MotoGP bike, 1:34.076 for him.
Moulding Pedro Acosta into a top MotoGP rider. Just to his left there, just briefly in picture, was one of the KTM senior engineers, Andrea Dovizioso, and Enea Bastianini's former Ducati crew chief. That was Alberto Girabiola, who's now very much an integral part of KTM. So they have put some very big experienced names behind the scenes alongside Pedro Acosta. And of course, we should mention behind the scenes, he will be given a lot of aid, a lot of assistance by Pol Espargaro, who said he's happy to do whatever it takes for Acosta. He'll be there for Acosta to pick his brains whenever he wants. And of course, we haven't seen the last of...
The right situation, the right condition, really, to be thinking about a full-time MotoGP outing next season. So I think in many respects, although of course he wouldn't have enjoyed giving up his place in the factory team with Pedro Acosta and Augusto Fernandez in that tech-free squad next season, Pol Espargaro maybe long-term might be in the best position there, just taking a bit of time out to get himself mentally and physically back to his best. The team will enjoy what they're seeing from Pedro Acosta so far. His progress so far on this run that he's on. His first lap of 36.8, he immediately improved to a 35.0, 34.0 his next lap, a 33.2 on his most recent lap. Pedro Acosta just chipping away at it early on in his first official run on MotoGP machine.
So Mir started this session just with a bit of familiar surroundings. As Pedro Acosta, on the inside of him goes Maverick Vinales, side by side with a rider I'm sure who he's admired and watched from afar for many years. Welcome to MotoGP, Pedro. As he goes side by side with Maverick Vinales and now tucks in behind Vinales, one of the most experienced riders. This might not be a bad chance here for Acosta to follow the man who was on pole here, of course, just a few days ago. A man who's made 227 Grand Prix starts. We're on board with Acosta. There is Vinales, just briefly coming back to Mir, of course, just to get a feel for the condition, just to get a feel for the circuit. He went out on his 2023 spec RC21 3V, but then was very quickly on the sort of Misano test spec, the 2024 prototype, which is pretty easy to spot, the black carboned Honda machine. This is a welcome to MotoGP for Acosta, dropping down into the braking zone for the second gear, about a 80 kilometers an hour final corner.
I love that. 6 laps into MotoGP and Pedro Acosta's trying to race Maverick Vinales out of the final corner. Love it.
Simon, you've spotted a couple of tweaks, a couple of updates on the bike of Maverick Vinales, potentially from down there in pit lane?
Well, just something, I'll do my best to get an interview with Paulo Bonora and, you know, find out. Just behind him on the back of the seat is a row of sensors that they're obviously recording where and how much he's pushing on the back of the seat. I'm guessing it's something to do with that, but a bunch of sensors behind the rider where his butt would push on as you're accelerating. So I'll try and find out about that and whatever else they're doing soon. Just to give you an idea, it's so cold, most teams are saying it's so, well, not most, some of them are saying to me soft only, and then others are running, like for example Bez has just gone out, Marco Bezzecchi, on his race weekend spec bike. I imagine he's got another one on the other side that I imagine's come from Pramac or factory Ducati. So a 23 spec bike. He's headed out on the 22 spec bike with mediums front and rear, and the mechanics, basically while waiting for him to get on the bike, taking really big care to keep the front tyre covered, you know, to keep that cold air, there's quite a breeze and it's cold, keep that tyre temperature up, because guys, we saw on the weekend and heard from a lot of riders that fell in the race was losing temperature in that hard front tyre as the temperature got cooler.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Simon. We'll look forward to hearing the thoughts of a pretty boss, Paulo Bonora. This is through turn 13. Spectacular corner this around Valencia. Fourth gear, about 175 kilometers an hour into the... was his best as he starts what should be a very interesting first debrief. Probably, wow. That's probably the first word, yeah. Yeah, well, you don't need to be a lip reader, I don't think, there to understand exactly what Pedro Acosta just said. I think it rhymes with duck, but yeah, he was certainly impressed with those first 8 laps on RC16. Brilliant, brilliant to see him already enjoying life as a MotoGP rider.
He's only going to get quicker, make no mistake about that. Pedro Acosta is going to be a major problem for the rest of MotoGP in 2024 and over the years. Here's our first look at just very considered information that he's giving to the team.
A kid on Christmas morning, doesn't he? Love to be hearing his first impression. Alex Marquez took priority. There was a bit of banter about that, wasn't there, between the Marquez brothers, because Marquez, for his whole career, sat on the right-hand side of the box, but Alex said, no, not at all, as he comes to sit down in the box then with his new crew chief, Frankie Carcetti, inheriting most of Fabio Di Gianantonio's Gresini crew. And Mark was at pains to say so, Lewis, when he made this deal with Ducati. 101 podiums, one of the most successful and dominant collaborations in MotoGP history. But Marc Marquez now, they're just telling him what all the buttons are. These MotoGP bikes nowadays, they're like PlayStation consoles, aren't they? Like Xbox consoles, as he just gets the instructions here. I'm sure even the crew are nervous as well, Lewis. You know, this is not just any rider that's coming into...
Than riding a motorcycle. It's about building up that relationship, that working relationship, that understanding with Frankie Carcetti that Marc Marquez is going to have to put together too. You don't think it's going to take too long before Marc Marquez is up to speed on that Gresini Ducati GP23. He's going to be a major headache for the world champion Pecco Bagnaia.
Kick off the defence of his championship. There are all the Gresini mechanics. A story with Honda which started right here, back at the end of 2012, when fresh off winning his Moto2 World Championship, he jumped on the Honda. What a story it was. There were tears here throughout the weekend, some very emotional, and an adventure in which he hopes culminates in at least a 9th World Championship, which would coincidentally put him alongside his great foe, his nemesis, 9 times world champion Italian Valentino Rossi. So for the first time then in MotoGP, Marc Marquez gets to twist the throttle on a factory Ducati. You can hear the fans that have gathered here in the grandstand at the Ricardo Tormo circuit. He leaves pit lane then, and Marc Marquez heads out on circuit for a first